Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Sat in quite cold and sunny Paris, and I'm joined by Scott Martin. Scott, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, Ray. Ray, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. City win a game at the weekend. I'm going to feel in a good mood for a day or two. And obviously, guys, sorry?
And a big win.
Yeah, we won. It was a big win. First time we've had a proper big win this season. Obviously, guys, you remember Scott, who has talked to us in the past about Portuguese footballers, about Porto. We did a preview with us when Porto came to Manchester. And on Tuesday, City are down in Portugal. So that's what we're going to talk about. But first, Scott, I've heard you got a book out, mate. Go on, you got to tell us all about this book.
That is true. So, for Total Football Analysis, I've been covering La Liga Madrid for over a year now. So, about 9 months ago, I had a thought, why not just track all this Real Madrid, really look at Zidane's return, how it's changed from his first stint, and why not put it into a book, Real Madrid, the tactics and stats behind Zinedine Zidane's success. So the book is out on my website, so scottmartinmedia.com, and it will be up on Amazon in the next couple of weeks. So definitely keep an eye on that. Really looking to tell the tactical story of this side, how they went from the highs of the 3 consecutive Champions League wins to the lows of the previous season, the round of 16 exit to Ajax, to now recovering, at least to some degree. City tempered the the season joy, but they had that La Liga victory under Zidane, and I want to tell that story. So yeah. I think there's some interesting tactical points there.
Yeah, and guys, I'll put a link in the description section below to Scott's website. You can go and check that out. So, as Scott mentioned, he's an analyst for Total Football Analysis. And as I said earlier, he is a bit of an expert on La Liga because that's who he reports on, and obviously the Portuguese league because his background is Portuguese. That's his heritage. So there we go. Is that a Euro mug?
Oh, that is my Euro mug. So I've got Cristiano Ronaldo, my boy Pepe, who unfortunately will not play tomorrow.
We're going to talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about the last game, where I think, and probably a few guys as well, you're a little bit unlucky to come away with nothing in Manchester. You lost the game 3-1. You had a fantastic first goal. And then City got what some people would argue was a fortunate penalty after Gundogan stood on the ankle of the goalie. And it's a funny thing. I think if Gundogan had scored instead of hitting the post, would that have been chalked off for the foul on the keeper? City were fortunate. We got the penalty. Lot of luck because goalie could have saved it, but it went in. And then we scored a couple of goals late on. You had another decent chance, I think, where Kyle Walker ended up scrambling it off the line. And we scored in the 80th and the 90th minute. So we ended up winning 3-1. Do you think you were unlucky? Do you think you deserved a bit more out of that game?
There's a general sense among Porto fans that they were unlucky in this match. And, it is tough to disagree with them from the perspective that they were up 1-0, and like you said, a really nice team goal. But that penalty against Pepe erases the lead. And so, you've got to ask that question. That penalty kick isn't given. Porto maintains that 1-0 lead, and they really focus on their defensive shape. They don't become stretched. They don't allow goal. They don't continue to be a little bit more expansive for the rest of the game. So, yeah, that penalty kick does change the way the rest of the match. So, yeah, a lot of Porto fans were definitely aggrieved by the officiating. There should have been a foul call, and even Pepe's contact. I don't know. To me, that was soft. Any contact in the box is a foul. What game are we playing? So, yeah. So I think they are aggrieved. But that said, Porto only had a couple of really good opportunities in this match. For the whole, when you look at that goal that they scored, everything really fell into place for them. There's the turnover from Ruben Diaz. There's the poor counter press from City that allows Diaz to cut inside, Luis Diaz. And then, ultimately, you have to give credit for a really excellent shot. I mean, not a whole lot you can do about that one. So everything fell into place on that goal. But otherwise, City's rest defense, their shape when they had possession of the ball, it really denied Porto many quality looks on goal. So I think Porto fans have to acknowledge that and give City credit for their defensive performance.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's been a few games since then in the league and the Champions League. Let's talk about the league first for you guys. How have you progressed since the City game in the league? I mean, you're sitting, from what I had a quick look at the league table today, at quite a few points off Sporting. But what's your form been like in the league?
So when you look at Porto's performance in the league, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster season, and I think that is largely attributed to juggling the two competitions. So Porto did have to sell a lot of players this past season just to juggle the books. So depth is a little bit thin. They're relying on more or less the same starting 11. Just a couple rotations each game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a little bit of an up and down season. So in recent weeks, they've actually performed pretty well. Form is decent right now. I don't think many fans will be happy with the performance on the weekend against Santa Clara and the Portuguese Azores Islands. But that game aside, the attack is really starting to click. And defensively, they're looking pretty good as well. So I think they come into this game probably in the best form they've had this season.
Well, as you say, Scott, you've done pretty well in the league of late. You've won the last 2 games, and you've done well in the Champions League as well. You sit there in a funny position where you're second, 3 points behind City, 6 points ahead of Olympiacos, 2 games to go. You could conceivably win the group if you give City a good thumping. I think you'd have to do better than the 3-1 that we beat you. And you could also, if you lose your last 2 games and Olympiacos win theirs by enough goals, you could actually drop into the Europa League. So your form has been good, but it's just a funny way it's set up at the moment. Do you still think you qualify from the Champions League? And will you win the group?
So I'm a little bit pessimistic about winning the group. I do think this is City's to lose, essentially. Maybe there's a chance that they underperform just because they have already qualified for the next round. Maybe that dampens momentum. But I do think Porto comes out of this group in second place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, 1 point or 1 point dropped from Olympiacos, that qualifies. So even with a loss tomorrow, we could see them still qualify for the next round. So, yeah, I think qualification is very realistic. That's got to be the expectation. And when you look at their other performances in the Champions League, they've been fairly comfortable results. So the least was a 2-goal margin. They've done that a couple of times. So, I think the group has been fairly kind to them, with the exception of the City game. When you look at the group overall, I think Porto's in a pretty good spot. And, quite frankly, that game for Olympiacos, that's not necessarily a given against Marseille. So I could see that one going either way. So I do look for Porto to qualify fairly.
Yeah, I'd expect you guys to get through. I can't see you beating City by better than 3-1. Realistically, it'd be a really bad turn up for City if we get battered. And I still think we'll put out a decent side. But I was looking at the money to be won. You win about over 2.5 million euros, 2.7 million euros for winning a game in the group stage. So that's a lot of money, And, with the COVID situation, with no fans, lots of money there, you're looking for new ways to make money. And City can't just say, we're qualified, let's not bother about the last 2 games. If we lose them both, we still, no. Win them both, it's 5 million quid. So I don't think we're going to go in too light. and it's hard for City to go in light with the number of quality players and the depth in our squad. So moving on to the game, how do you see the game going? Because you should have, are you still got a few thousand fans allowed in the ground? What difference do you think they'll make? And being at home, what difference do you think that'll make to Porto?
So the Dragão is typically a very intimidating environment. So even if they're reduced to just a few, that is, I think, a relief for City. I think back to Liverpool's performances in Porto recently.
Yeah.
I think they were able to overcome the crowd momentum, and they were able to use it against Porto. They were, I think, able to come out and be a little bit more expansive, be a little more true to their philosophy, which works really well in the Primeira Liga. But in the Champions League against top tier opposition, that kind of has spelled doom for Porto. So I think it will be interesting to see how this plays out. There won't be the crowd behind them quite to the degree that they're accustomed to. So, maybe that does help them to stay a little more focused on the match's tactics. I don't think they go with the 3-4-2-1 that they had in the previous match. And I think in part that's due to Pepe's absence. I think they will be a little more compacted right down the middle, but also looking for the win. So, they need to have a couple of players high. So look for them to set up in a 4-4-2. That's the formation they've used in recent weeks. And as I was watching that City and Porto game back, I think what Porto will really try to do is use that right-hand side of the pitch to counterattack against City. So, as João Cancelo, assuming he starts, he does make his runs high at the left side of the pitch. As he vacates that space, I think that's what Porto will look to get behind. I mean, if you look at the game, most of Porto's success came on the counterattack, and I think they will stick to that. It's very difficult to have success against City while playing with a high degree of possession. So I think they'll drop off, they'll concede the ball, look for a middle block from Porto, very compact, looking to force City to play those long diagonal balls out to the wings. And then once City gets there, Porto will make the field very tight. As that happens, while City's still in a very expansive attack, we'll look for Porto to try and win the ball back and create numerical superiority on the wings before cutting inside to one or two forwards that they have lingering in the box.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be key.
Yeah. But given that a draw would get you through, a guarantee qualification, part of me thinks you're going to play that very much a defensive game, and then, like you say, look to hit on the break, like most teams do against City. And the teams who have had success against City tend to be the teams who have defended really well, hit City on the break. And yes, you're going to have to, absorb a bit of pressure, and you're going to probably have to ride your luck. But teams have got results against City this season by doing exactly that. And if you can have a moment of magic and score a goal like the last game, who knows what could happen. So my final question, Scott, I've got to ask you for a score prediction. Are you going to get enough goals to qualify as group winners, or are you just happy to get a win or a draw?
Great question. I do see this game going to City. Porto gets a goal. I think they do get one. But man, that loss to Pepe, that's a big one for this group. His leadership at the back, 37, 38, he's still just such a commanding presence in the middle of the pitch. And I don't see them keeping City to just one goal. Say 2-1, slight improvement on the past performance.
No, you broke up there, but I heard you say 2-1, so I'll stick with that 2-1. And I'll go along with that. I'll say 2-1 as well, because I don't think City are going to be busting a gut to score lots of goals unless we get ahead and we put some kids on in the second half for the last 20 minutes, because obviously they'll have that energy, they'll have that desire and determination to score more goals. Whereas the older players, the more seasoned pros, they'll be taking it easier, saving themselves, because like Porto, we're playing 2 games a week. Every 3-4 days we've got a game, and that's really tough on the players. But fortunately, in the Champions League, we've got 5 subs that can be used, and I think teams will use them. As I said, I think both teams would be happy with the draw. They take that. It's you qualify for the next stage. We qualify as group winners, and I think I'm going to stick with 2-1. Although I think, as I said, each team would be happy with the draw. Once again, Scott, I've got to say massive thanks to get your insight on Portuguese football and Porto. And as usual, just hope it's a great game, and I hope your book does really well.
Oh, thank you very much, Ray. Yeah, pleasure to join you again. So always happy to talk Portuguese football.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.